You ever notice how the loudest ones in the room talk about what they're gonna do, but they never actually do it? Yeah, I've seen that my whole life. And I've also seen what happens when you move in silence. See, when you tell everybody your plans, you're giving them free access to your blueprint. You're basically handing over the keys to your next move. And some of these people, they ain't clapping for you. They're waiting for you to slip. Everybody ain't your friend. Everybody ain't rooting for you. And I'm not saying be paranoid, I'm saying be smart. You don't put your gold out on the table in the middle of the street and expect nobody to touch it. Your vision, that's your gold, that's your future. And if you really value it, you keep it close and it's ready to shine. People will doubt you. They'll project their own failures on you. They'll talk slick just to make you second guess yourself. And if you're not careful, those little seeds they plant will grow in your mind. And before you even start, you've already slowed down. That's why the strongest moves are made quietly. No noise, no show, just results. What I'm about to share with you today, this ain't just theory, it's how I live. It's the difference between talking like you're a boss and moving like one. So if you're ready to protect your dreams, if you're ready to stop giving away your power, then lock in, because after this, you'll never look at telling your plans the same way again. The first thing you gotta understand is this: your plans are not for public consumption. They are not meant to be laid out on the table like a buffet where everybody gets to take a piece. Your plans are sacred. They're the seed that's gonna grow into the life you want. And if you've ever planted anything, you know you don't throw your seeds on the sidewalk and hope they grow. You bury them deep in the soil, away from eyes, away from hands, away from anything that can damage them before they're even. That's how you gotta treat your moves. Too many people lose before they start because they talk too much. They hype up the dream before they've even built the foundation. And here's the thing: the moment you speak it out loud to the wrong person, it's out of your control. You can't take it back. It's like giving them a map to your destination before you've even left the driveway. And not everybody who hears that map is going to want to see you arrive. There are people in your circle right now who smile at you, who dap you up, who laugh with you, but deep down hoping you don't make it past where they are. Why? Because the second you level up, they have to face the truth about themselves. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your success makes them question their excuses. And some people would rather see you fail than deal with the fact that they've been standing still. That's why keeping your plans to yourself is not just about privacy. It's about protection. It's about guarding your vision from jealousy, from doubt, from manipulation. Some people will try to talk you out of your dream, not because it's impossible, because it's possible. And that possibility scares them. It makes them uncomfortable. And instead of confronting their own fear, they'll try to transfer it to you. They'll hit you with lines like, "Are you sure that's gonna work?" Or, "That sounds risky. You know, somebody tried that before and failed, right?" But what they're really saying is, "I don't believe in myself enough to try that. So I don't want you to believe in yourself either." You can't let other people's limitations become your ceiling. You can't let their fear become your reality. The moment you start explaining your plans to everybody, you open the door for their opinions to creep in. And opinions are heavy. They weigh you down. You start second guessing yourself. You start making adjustments not because it's smart, because you're trying to keep everybody comfortable. And before you know it, the dream you were excited about becomes watered down, reshaped, and unrecognizable. Think about it. Some of the greatest moves in history were made in silence. The best fighters don't tell you their strategy before the fight. The most successful entrepreneurs don't broadcast their next product before it's ready. The best players on the field don't tell the defense exactly what play they're about to run. Why? Because the element of surprise is powerful. It keeps your opposition guessing. It gives you the space to work without interference. You got to apply that same principle to your own life. When you're building something, especially in the early stages, you need room to make mistakes, to adjust, to pivot. If you tell everyone, now you've got an audience watching your every move, waiting to see if you fail. And trust me, some of them are watching for exactly that. And when you slip even a little bit, they'll use it to discourage you or to tell others, see, I knew it wouldn't work. But when you keep it to yourself, you give yourself freedom. You give yourself space to grow without judgment. You give yourself the time to work on your craft, to perfect your idea, to make your move when you're ready, not when the crowd is demanding it. And here's the thing, silence doesn't mean inactivity. Just because you're not talking about it doesn't mean you're not working on it. In fact, the less you talk, the more energy you actually put into the grind. Because every minute you spend explaining, convincing, or defending your plan to someone is a minute you could have spent building it. Some of y'all are out here burning fuel on conversations that lead nowhere. You're telling people your big ideas. They're giving you surface level advice or fake support, and you're walking away feeling drained. But when you cut that out and keep your focus tight, you start seeing how much more you can get done. And it's not just about protecting yourself from others. It's about training yourself to operate at a higher level. Discipline is doing the work without needing applause. It's building something without needing to announce every step. It's trusting the process enough. Let the results do the talking when the time comes. That's a muscle you've got to develop. Because if you're always chasing validation, you'll always be controlled by whoever's giving it to you. When you learn to move in silence, you take back your power. You set your own pace. You decide when and how your plans are revealed. You're not reacting to what others think. You're controlling the narrative. And when the time comes to show the world, you're not presenting an idea, you're presenting a finished product. You're not offering them a what if, you're giving them a this is. And that hits different. That commands respect. So ask yourself, how much of what you've been sharing is helping you, and how much of it is slowing you down? How many times have you told someone a plan only for it to lose momentum? How many times have you shared something too early and it got shot down before it even had a chance to breathe? That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And the sooner you break it, the faster you'll see progress. Your dreams deserve better than to be thrown out into the open where anyone can step on them. They deserve to be nurtured, protected, and developed until they're strong enough to stand on their own. And when that time comes, when you finally let the world see what you've been working on, it won't be talk. It'll be reality. And reality speaks louder than any announcement ever could. So from this moment on, stop giving your blueprint away for free. Stop inviting people into rooms they don't deserve to be in. Keep your head down, keep your circle tight, and let your results speak for you. Because the loudest one in the room ain't always the one making the real moves. The quiet one is. See, when you're working on something big, something that matters to you, your first instinct might be to share it with everybody. You want to tell your friends, your family, maybe even random people online. You're excited, you feel that energy bubbling up, and you think if you talk about it, it'll push you further. But here's the truth. The more you talk, the more you give away pieces of your vision. And every time you do, you open the door for opinions, doubts, negativity that can water down your focus before the seed even starts growing. People don't mean to kill your dreams all the time, but that doesn't mean they won't. Sometimes they'll smile and nod, but deep down, they don't see what you see. They can't picture it because it's not theirs. It's yours. And because they can't see it, they'll project their own limits onto you. They'll tell you it's risky. They'll remind you of your past failures. They'll throw a what if at you until you start questioning if you're even capable. You have to protect your idea from that. You have to let it breathe in an environment where it's safe, where it's not being weighed down by everyone else's fears. Think about it like this. If you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to show people. You let it sit. You water it, you protect it from harsh weather, and you let the roots grow deep before it breaks through the surface. Your plans are the same. They need time in the dark to develop. If you keep exposing them too soon, you rob them of that strength they need to survive when the storms come. A lot of people will smile in your face but not want to see you win. They might not say it outright, but they'll plant little doubts in your mind. Are you sure you can pull that off? Isn't that too much for you to handle? That's going to take a lot of money. And before you know it, their doubts become your doubts. You start dragging your feet, slowing down. Second, guessing moves you were confident about just days ago. That's how you lose momentum. And momentum is everything. Some of you got burned before because you talked too soon. You told someone your idea, they didn't support it, or worse, they ran off and did it themselves. That happens. And it's not always about stealing. Sometimes they just take the energy out of your idea by poking at it before it's ready. It's like letting the air out of a balloon before the party even starts. And when that happens, you're left with a dream that feels smaller, less exciting, less possible. I'm telling you, the safest way to build is in silence. You don't need everybody to understand what you're doing right now. You don't even need everybody to believe in you right now. All you need is you, your plan, and your execution. The results will speak loud enough when it's done. By the time you show them, it's too late for their doubts to matter because it's already real, already built, already moving. This doesn't mean you never talk about your plans to anyone. It means you choose carefully. Share only with people who have proven they want the best for you and have the wisdom to help you sharpen your vision instead of dulling it. And even then, keep certain details close to your chest. Not because you're being secretive, because you understand the value of protecting what you're building. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's the difference between those who make noise and those who make moves. Let people underestimate you. Let them think you're not working. Let them wonder what you're up to. That mystery works in your favor. By the time they see the results, you're already 10 steps ahead, and they're still trying to figure out how you did it. Your job right now isn't to convince people your plan will work. Your job is to make it work. So stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep building. Because when the time is right, the success will do the talking for you. You got to understand something. Not everybody around you is qualified to carry your vision. Some people, they can't even carry their own. They don't have the mindset, the discipline, or the hunger to do something big. So when you hand them pieces of your plan, you're expecting them to protect something they don't even understand. And that's where a lot of people mess up. They think because someone is close to them, they can handle the weight of what they're dreaming about. But closeness doesn't equal capability. Loyalty doesn't always equal understanding. See, when you tell the wrong person your plan, you give them the power to shape how you see it. They might not even mean to hurt you, but their words, their energy, their perspective, it all leaks into your vision. And if they're the kind of person who's used to thinking small, they're going to make your dream small too. They'll trim it down to something they can process, something that feels safe to them. And without even realizing it, you'll start adjusting your moves to fit the limits they've placed in your mind. That's why you got to be ruthless about who gets to hear your vision and who doesn't. Some people will smile at your plan because it sounds good in theory, but deep down it scares them. Not because it's impossible, but because it forces them to confront the fact that they're not doing anything close to it. Your ambition becomes a mirror they don't want to look into. And instead of cheering you on, they'll throw little jabs, little sarcastic comments, or they'll keep reminding you of the real world. That's their way of pulling you back into their comfort zone so they don't have to feel the discomfort of watching you pass them. And let's be real, some people straight up don't want you to win. They like you exactly where you are because it makes them feel better about where they are. If you start rising, it forces a shift in the relationship. Suddenly they can't treat you the same way. Suddenly they can't be the more successful one in the room. And instead of leveling up themselves, it's easier for them to just throw shade on your goals so you never leave the level you're both on. You think you're just telling them your plan, but really, you're giving them a map of where you're headed so they can block the road before you even get there. The other danger is that people will take your energy without giving anything back. You're hyped, you're motivated, you're ready to work, and then you tell them, and they hit you with that dry, empty reaction. No excitement, no encouragement. Just a shrug like it's nothing. And that right there will drain you faster than you think. It's like pouring your best wine into a cracked cup. It all leaks out before you even take a sip. You walk away from that conversation feeling less confident, less sure, less ready to move. And that's why you gotta guard your energy like it's gold. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being strategic. You wouldn't give someone the keys to your house if you weren't sure they'd protect it. So why give them the keys to your dream without knowing they'll treat it with the same care you do? A dream is more valuable than any house, any car, any piece of jewelry. Because it's the blueprint for the life you're trying to build. You don't hand that over to just anybody. Some people in your circle right now, they're good for laughs, good for hanging out, good for killing time. But they're not good for carrying your vision. That's not their role. And that's fine. Not everyone needs to know what you're working on. Not everyone deserves to know. You can love people, you can respect people, and still keep certain parts of your life to yourself. That's not selfish, that's survival. When you start being selective with who hears your plans, you'll notice something. Your energy stays stronger. Your focus stays sharper, and your progress moves faster. You're not wasting time defending your idea or convincing people it'll work. You're not letting outside noise slow you down. You're just building. And every brick you lay is proof that you don't need constant validation to keep going. You don't need cheerleaders on every corner. You just need results. The truth is, the fewer people you tell, the fewer opinions you have to navigate. And opinions can be dangerous if you let them sink in too deep. Even well-meaning advice can throw you off track if it's coming from someone who's never walked the road you're on. If they've never built something like what you're building, how can they tell you how to do it? It's like asking someone who's never been in the gym how to train for a championship fight. They can talk all they want, but they don't have the scars, the sweat, or the experience to back it up. So you keep your plans where they belong, close to your chest, protected from unqualified hands. You let your work be the loudest voice in the room. And when people finally see what you've built, they won't be able to say anything but, "Damn, I didn't even know you were working on that." That's exactly how it should be. You ever notice how some people move like shadows? They're quiet. You barely know what they're doing. And then out of nowhere, they show up with something big. That's because they understand a rule most people don't. The less you talk, the more you can move. Every word you speak about your plans is like letting air out of a balloon. You might think you're building momentum by telling everybody, but really, you're losing pressure. You're losing that tight focus that makes a plan hit hard when it finally lands. See, when you keep talking about what you're going to do, you give people the chance to get used to the idea before it's real. They start forming opinions, predictions, and even doubts before you've made your first move. Every single one of those reactions can start creeping into your head if you're not careful. That's how a plan gets watered down before it's even started. But when you move in silence, nobody knows enough to interfere. You're not giving them a map. You're just showing up at the destination. It's also about protecting your energy from being scattered. The more you talk, the more you have to repeat the same conversations. The more you have to explain yourself. The more you have to answer questions. And each one of those moments is a little bit of your focus being pulled away from the actual work. That's why some of the most successful people seem like they're always low key. They're not being antisocial. They're just putting all that talking energy into doing. Because at the end of the day, results speak louder than any speech ever could. Now here's the tricky part. Silence feels unnatural to most people. We live in a world where everybody is trained to broadcast everything they're doing, post about it, tweet about it, show people behind the scenes. And in some ways, that can work if you're already established. But if you're still building, if you're still vulnerable to outside influence, every extra voice in the room becomes a risk. It's like trying to cook a perfect meal while strangers keep walking into the kitchen and throwing random spices into the pot. Even if they mean well, they're messing with your recipe. When you move quietly, you also build something people can't predict, shock value. And shock value is powerful. It makes people pay attention because it disrupts the normal pattern they're used to. They think they know you. They think they've got you figured out. And then you hit them with something they didn't see coming. That's not just about ego. That's strategy. Because the less predictable you are, the harder it is for people to prepare a defense against you. Moving in silence doesn't mean you're moving alone. It just means the people who are in on your plan are handpicked, trusted, and necessary. It's like running an operation. You only bring in the people who have a role in making it happen. Everyone else, they find out when it's already done. That keeps the circle tight, the mission focused, and the noise level at zero. There's also a mental edge to this. When you don't tell everyone what you're doing, you're free from their timeline. Nobody's asking, how's that going? When's that going to be ready? You're not carrying the pressure of their expectations on top of the work itself. You can move at your own pace, make adjustments when you need to, and even take losses in private without feeling like the world is watching you fail. That privacy gives you space to grow without judgment. And don't get it twisted. Silence is not weakness. Some people mistake quiet for uncertainty, but the truth is, it takes more discipline to hold your tongue than it does to run it. Talking feels good in the moment because it makes you feel like you're already halfway there. But that's a lie. Talking is easy. Building is hard. And the ones who can resist the temptation to keep announcing their next move, those are the ones who usually finish it. You also got to understand that the loudest one in the room is rarely the one in control. Think about the most dangerous moves in chess. They're the ones you don't see coming. Same thing in life. People can't destroy what they don't know exists. They can't block a move they can't anticipate. That's why moving in silence isn't just about mystery. It's about protection. And here's the part most people never think about. Silence builds trust with yourself. And you keep your word to yourself and prove in private that you can execute without needing an audience. You start building a level of self-respect that no one can give you and no one can take away. You stop needing validation to feel like you're making progress. You become self-sustained. And when you're self-sustained, you're dangerous.